Oil prices exploding, warships entering the Persian Gulf, NATO allies refusing America, and a US president threatening to walk away from the world order. This isn't a movie. This is happening right now. From tariffs to threats to war, this is the story of how Donald Trump's second presidency reshaped the world in just months. Welcome to Unemployed Being, where we break down the biggest crisis shaping our world in a way that actually makes sense. From geopolitics to global power shifts, if you want to understand what's really happening, you are in the right place. Let's begin. It all began with a comeback. One of the most controversial leaders in modern history returning to power, Donald Trump, didn't just campaign, he declared a mission. This mission was built around one powerful idea: MAGA, Make America Great Again. But this time, MAGA wasn't just a slogan. Bringing manufacturing back to the US, reducing dependence on China, stopping illegal immigration completely, making allies pay their share, and making America the dominant global power again. But this time, the tone was different, more aggressive, more direct, less diplomatic. America would no longer protect the world for free. It would act only in its own interest.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the office of President of the United States
the office of President of the United States
and will, to the best of my ability,
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the United States.
the Constitution of the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
January 2025, Trump takes oath. And within weeks, the world start feeling the impact. One of the first major moves, heavy tariffs. China targeted to weaken its economy. Canada and Mexico pressure despite being allies. What does tariff means? It means making foreign goods expensive so people are forced to buy American. But this triggered a chain reaction. China responded with its own tariffs. Trade war escalated.
美方仍在对中国赖施关税，一味地进行极限施压，对这种霸道霸凌行径，中方坚决反对，绝不接受。美方如果真的想通过对话谈判解决问题，就应该拿出平等、尊重、互惠的态度。如果美方置两国和国际社会的利益于不顾，执意打关税战、贸易战，中方必将奉陪到底。
Global supply chains started breaking. This wasn't negotiation. This was economic warfare. And the biggest shock, even allies were not safe anymore. Then came something unexpected. Trump started saying something no US president had seriously pushed before. Canada should become the 51st state of the United States. At first, people laughed, but slowly, trade pressure increased, political messaging repeated, economy leverage used. This wasn't just humor anymore. It was strategic pressure. For Canada, it raised a serious question. Is America still an ally or something else?
We live in an era of great power rivalry, that the rules-based order is fading, that the strong can do what they can and the weak must suffer what they must.
Then came NATO. For decades, NATO protected the Western world. But Trump challenged it directly. He argued, US spent too much, Europe spent too little. America is being used. The message was clear: pay up, or America walk away. This shook Europe. Because if the US leave NATO, the entire global security system weakens. And for the first time in decades, trust began to break. At the same time, the world wasn't calm. Trump made bold move globally. He showed interest in buying it, not just for land, but for military and strategic control in the Arctic.
Well, we need Greenland for national security purposes. I've been told that for a long time, long before I even ran. I mean, people have been talking about it for a long time.
And then something shocking happened. In early 2026, the US launched a large scale military strike in Venezuela. Within hours, the Venezuelan president Nicolas Maduro was captured and taken out of the country. Yes, a sitting president captured by another country. He was flown to the United States, charged with drug trafficking and other crimes, presented in a US court system. This wasn't diplomacy. This was direct intervention. A message to the world. America can remove leaders it sees as threats. And then everything escalated. In February 2026, the US, along with Israel, launched a strike on Iran. The goal: weaken Iran power and influence. They target important leaderships and also killed many leaders. Iran responded immediately. Missile attacks, drone strikes, regional escalation. But the most dangerous move, the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow passage where a huge portion of the world's oil flow. Iran disrupted this route, and the impact: oil supply dropped, prices globally, trade routes got blocked. In simple terms, the world's oil supply was being choked. This turned a regional conflict into a global crisis. Trump expected allies to stand with him. They refused. European countries avoided joining the war, focused on diplomacy. The message was simple: this is not our war.
Message to Tehran that Iran's future cannot be built on repression. We must step up our support also to Iranian civil society. This is not Europe's war, but Europe's interests are directly at stake. Now, restarting the shipments of fertilizers, food and energy through the Strait of Hormuz is another urgent priority. Today we discussed the options to better protect the shipping in the region.
Trump reacted strongly, criticized NATO, called it weak, considered leaving the alliance. The alliance that once united the world now looked divided.
The conflict in the Middle East has now entered a second month, and while we're working at pace for de-escalation and peace, it is now clear that the impact of this war will affect the future of our country. So today I want to reassure the British people that no matter how fierce this storm, we are well placed to weather it, and that we have a long-term plan to emerge from it a stronger and more secure nation. First, let me say once again, this is not our war. We will not be drawn into the conflict. That is not in our national interest.
Oil disrupted, allies divided, war expanding, markets unstable, energy crisis rising, global tension increasing. The world wasn't just watching anymore, it was being pulled into it. So, what is the presidency really about? Strength, strategy, or chaos? Is this America asserting dominance or losing control of the world it once led? Because one thing is certain, this is not just Trump's story. This is the story of a world being rewritten. If you want to understand the world beyond headlines, if you want clarity in the middle of chaos, then subscribe to Unemployed Being. Because here, we don't just tell you what's happening, We help you understand why it's happening. And trust me, this is just the beginning.